So this top sump idea is a really good way to add some extra filtration to your tank. So this is just a quick one about the old one and how we built the new one. You can see the plant's doing really well there. Um, Looks nice with the plants in. You can change that resin out quickly and easily, but this one is made out of, I think, 6mm acrylic, and you can just see a bend in the sides there, and I don't know if that is stressing the joints, if that could split, so I don't like that sitting there full of water. So quite keen to do a new version with some extra improvements. Yeah, look, that's bending out. I think the temperature of the water and the weight of the water in there is pushing that out, and also need a nicer way to put the plants in. So it should look nicer too. So a number of improvements coming up. So this is just a quick vid, how I put that together, what you need, what to do, and just a rough idea of how easy this is to build if you want to try it yourself. The materials are just thicker acrylic this time, so this is 10mm thick. We've got better glue, that's a solvent well, it's water thin, capillary action, it will go right down the joints and glue them up, fuse it together. I've then got this special applicator for that glue, they're easy to get hold of on the internet, and some basic connectors for the bulkheads to let the water both in and out. And you need to position those in the right place to make sure it fits onto your tank if you want to try this. So a couple of them, all the acrylic's been cut to size, so no worries about wonky lines or dodgy cutting. It's then just a case of putting it all together. So we'll work out where these connectors will go, and I've roughly planned that out based on how the top of the tank looks. It's just then a case of working out how close to the sides and bottom you can get that to go, taking account for that washer. Make sure they're in the right place. When I built mine, I actually put one in the wrong way around and glued it, so the connector's on the wrong side, so don't do that. Think a few times before you get the glue out. It's very easy to get this back to front, but I've managed to make it work, so it's come out okay. So that connector will go at the end to let the water out. There'll be another one down the other end. If you want to drill your own holes, which you can get them drilled for you, but acrylic's weird. It will melt to your drill bit really fast. The whole lot will get bunged up, and sometimes you can't even get the drill bit out if you do it wrong. So have water running, and you'll get a much neater cut and a nice tidy hole. Without water, as I say, that will jam up because that gets so hot. Otherwise, it's fairly easy to do. So here's the end with the hole cut in it. So that will let the water out. We'll fit that bulkhead on. Don't need any silicone. We'll give it a little test fit now just to show how it's done. And as I say, these are £1.50 connectors from DIY shop, and they work fine. And the good thing about these is that they will connect to standard 22mm waste pipe, so you can easily cut that and bend it, fine tune it, turn it around corners, whatever you want to do, and solvent weld that together so it's all nice and watertight. So fit that one onto there, see how he fits back in. As I say, I did this back to front, but it doesn't really cause much of a problem. But you can see there, it's fairly sturdy stuff. And now that just needs all nicely gluing together, and it's pretty much ready to go. But as I say, double check everything before you get the glue out, because once that glue's on it, you won't get this to bits. So there's the pieces laid out. They're just clamped gently. The glue's capillary action, so it will run into the joins. So don't clamp the joints tight, or the glue may not go in there. I wasn't sure how that worked. This is the first time glue, and I need to get better at that. But there's a little bit on how to put the glue on in a minute. But that's where it's all been sealed up. Takes 3 minutes to go off, 72 hours to cure properly, and that won't come to bits. So these are some little supporting braces I thought I'd fit, and that's the glue applicator. So the glue's super runny like water. That clamp's just holding that top piece in position. So that's fast set. The clamp's just keeping that in position. All you do is you run the solvent weld across the joint, and you'll see it get sucked into the joint if you look closely. I'm really bad at doing this, and that's really messy, but it worked really well. And then I'll just quickly dab the excess off. It really is like water, and it evaporates really fast, and it just gets sucked into that gap. And then we'll leave that there for a few minutes, and that will fuse together nicely. And with, as I say, within 20 to 72 hours, that will be rock solid. So it really is easy to glue as long as you can just position the pieces and they don't move while you're doing it. And then we'll give it a quick water test. So that's sat for a day or two with some water in, and there's no problems of leaks or anything like that. This one is much better than the old version, much more sturdy, and I think I'm more confident about having that sat on top of the tank. So that's the finished article. We've got a few bits built in there to try and avoid it overflowing, so it can't overflow. That's why there's two exits. That bit at the end, which kind of holds the water in, is kind of optional at the moment. So we'll empty the old one, turn the pump off that supplies it, and let that drain out. So you'll see that go off in a minute, and then it's just a case of lifting that out of the way and putting the new one in place. So you can see that's turned off. That will drain down now as much as it can. Very noisy plane flying over. It's kind of got a bit dirty in there, but they're easy to clean. We'll get all the plants out of this, give them a clean, and put them in the new one once that's drained out of the way. But you can see the growth on the roots there. The plants love it in there. And all these bits of foam and stuff are not fixed, so I end up fiddling around with them to get the levels right in this one. In this new one, there we go. So you can see the inlet and outlet and the overflow pot connected down the other end. And look how dead straight that is. Hopefully that will stay like that, because that is much thicker and stronger than before. So you can see that bow in the old one really bending out. And I don't know how far that would get before something cracks, because this wasn't glued with particularly great glue either. I wouldn't use that glue again. It was kind of thicker glue. Didn't, I don't think, work very well at all. So glad this one's gone. So we will put a piece of pipe in for the water to come out, go back to the tank. That's just flowing straight down through the normal cutouts. Getting a bit cramped, but it fits. And then we'll solvent weld those when we're happy with everything's in the right place. I've stood this one on some foam pads just to see if that will spread the weight nice. So this tank before had a really heavy hood on it. That's gone. I don't think this, even with the water in, could weigh more than that hood. So it's resting on the back panel of the glass. I'm thinking about a better way of supporting it, but we'll see. This pipe is just for if there's an overflow problem. So the water will back up over that weir and come out of that pipe if this end is entirely blocked. So I don't believe this can flood onto the floor. Plus, the pump that supplies it is a few inches under that water, so there isn't an awful lot of water that could come out if there was ever a disaster. So we'll turn that pump back on, just check that that flows right. So there's the water coming in. It's quite a small pump, so the flow's quite slow. But I think it probably holds about 12 litres, this one. So you see there, that's filling up nicely, and obviously that will just flow straight out the other end for now. So the level won't go above that connector. We'll just check all the joints aren't dripping. We know the seals are good. So you can see that's now on there. I filled that up. So we've got a number of plants put in place. There's a few bits of foam to manage the flow. So you can see the plants have moved across, and they sit much neater on the top now in acrylic sheets with holes in, and then sponge wrap around the roots. So look at that monstera, they're doing really well. There's a strawberry plant, there's a basil plant, there's some pothos, massive roots going on. They must be liking it. There's a big fat new leaf coming out there. Look at him. He's doing really well, that plant. And the light suspended above it is just an aqua sky on a timer. So the pothos there flowing over the sides. That one is a peace lily. Again, there's new leaves all over that one. Although his roots don't look too good, but he still seems to be going okay. There's a pothos there. And then we'll run the resins down the end, but I've taken the resins out for now. There's some floss, which is just holding that water level just above the top. If the water level goes any higher, which it won't because the pump's on a set amount of flow, it will just flow over the top and come out the bottom. And if it really, really does get blocked, it will flow out the other end. So I don't believe we can have any emergencies on this one, but we'll see how that goes. So that's it, top sump, really easy. Quick to build, add some volume. You could put anything in there. You could have that all sponge, you could have that all resins, you could put media in that, you could put more plants in that. I think I'll put more plants in there. You could speed up that flow, slow down that flow, more floss, completely customizable to what you want. And I don't think you can leak anywhere. And there we go. They're looking happy with their new top sump in place.